So one of the last meeting we had before the summer was about the calibration of the landfill site with PEST, and we also used PEST HP. And this was the end of the second module, which was about model calibration. Let me get back to here. Just a second. So we had first module, second module, and in this second module, we went through this landfill case from the building of the model, well, processing of the data, building of the model, and calibrating the model. You had the chance to look at more basic stuff, like the basic model calibration with Model Muse and PEST, applied to a synthetic case, but then we apply the same steps into the landfill case. After that, in September, we have the third module. And the third module included and overlapped with the PEST course held by John Doherty. Okay. Some of you attended the live sessions, some other attended the recorded session. That is the third module. The third module was not applied to the landfill case, was about the tutorial that John had from the command line. And of course, the next step for those who are, let's say, confident. For instance, some of the previous edition of the school re-attended the third module, and now they are applying to the landfill case the uncertainty analysis, okay? Or to their own case. Now, what we need to complete the school is the assignment. So, all right, you have been attending a lot of lessons, you have been covering a lot of topics, you have a huge amount of material. Now it is time that you develop, and you, after a while, since the last time we met, that you try yourself, okay? So at the bottom of the second, at the bottom of the landfill case, you have this assignment. And this, of course, would require that you might rewatch some of the video, all of the videos, or it depends how much you have gained through Module 1 and Module 2 up to this point before the summer. Okay, now let's forget a little bit about the advanced PEST application through the command line. Let's still stay on the Model Muse approach, okay? That is Module 2. So what you're asked to do is to recap a little bit with the material which has been uploaded in the platform during all the sessions, especially the one in this section, so in this M2 landfill case. And then try yourself, calibrate, build the model if you haven't built it yet, or start from where you left through model before the summer, and do this additional effort. So you would have to write a report, also like a draft note. You don't need to pay so much attention. The important is not the shape, but it's the content, in which you describe the conceptual model that you assume, the settings and assumptions of your model, and which approach of calibration and what you obtain through calibration as a result. So in here, there are some tips about things to cover, and also some questions that should be somehow answered along the description of what you have done. The point here is to focus on everything that is behind the model rather than on the model itself. Okay, so a numerical model report can be very different. Can be, you might read a huge range of type of modeling reports from 2 pages up to 200 pages. So we tend to do 200 pages, okay, because we spend a lot in the, let's say, processing of the data in a way that the data can be useful for the model and also for the calibration and data, let's call it data assimilation part. So this is just a suggestion. This is just something that you can, of course, extend as much as you like. But what you should write in this report, in this document, and describe is, let's say, supporting every choice you have done with some comment, like model domain extension. Why not bigger? Why not smaller? So what's the point? Or refinement. Why the cell were that big or that small? What's the use of it? Why how can you describe the reason why you made a certain choice? So this is an exercise inside the exercise, something that should oblige you to think when you get a decision. Why am I doing this? And also the number of layers. Why am I assuming a one layer system? Or why am I including 3 or 30 layers? So these are decisions that you take, are subjective. There is no right and no wrong decision here. It's something that you take the responsibility of what you're doing. So we suppose that behind every decision, decisions are not random, but there might be a reason why. Or if there is not a reason, you write it. Just because I don't know, I'm assuming one layer because I have no evidence of more than one layer in case there is something wrong with the data or some incongruencies. I would then later on increase the complexity. So it's a process that needs to be described. And also what kind of boundary conditions you applied or recharge. Is that important? Is that important to the problem we have or not? Are we neglecting recharge? Are we including recharge? How do we estimate it? And so on. Given the data that you have, which are all inside this the shared folder and mostly there, you might feel the need or you might notice some data gap. For instance, there's nothing about a certain feature that I think it's important. So that this is the occasion to describe the data gap, analyze the data gap, why you would need more information about a specific feature, hydrogeological feature, or whatever that you don't know about. But again, you should not ask for data integration for the sake of having everything, but you should ask for data integration for a reason. because I would need, I don't know, the time series of the heads for 3 years, for instance, because this would add these advantages. So we should learn not to ask things for its own sake, but because we can demonstrate that the data that we are asking for would improve what we already have. This is also something important because we know that resources are not infinite. And so it's very easy to, especially, when people, not modeler, talk about modelers, they always say they want data, data, data. They always want more. They never stop asking for data. It's true, we need data, of course, but we need to we need to convince. Okay, it happens to me all the time that people before me ask for data, but just asking. It depends how you ask. If you convince people that would have to do the effort to collect new data, if you can convince them or not asking just for the, because I need data, but asking because this would tell us that the recession curve of a piezometer monitored in time would provide the diffusivity of the aquifer, for instance. So, and that would provide the ratio between transmissivity and storage that we could combine with a pumping test to obtain blah, blah, blah. All right. So you always need to specify the reason why you need more information. Otherwise, nobody would listen to you and they would just say no. It's not possible. Okay. This is something I've learned in my experience. So I don't know if you share the same experience, or maybe you just ask and you are given whatever you like. Usually it doesn't work like that. So the questions also that you should go through as we are talking about are the data available adequate to describe the hydrogeology, but be careful to describe hydrogeology or understanding the system that is vague. We don't need to understand the system. We don't need to understand all the little details that has nothing to do with the problem we are approaching. Remember that we are in a landfill. Remember that we have a river on the left, a river on the right. Remember that we are not sure about the role of the rivers. Remember that here the problem is to be ready for potential contamination leakage from the landfill and be operative, be ready to say to the landfill owner what to do as soon as there is a leakage from the landfill. Okay, so this is the reason why we have been going in the field and collecting data and getting data from documents and building a model. All right, it was an exercise, but also we pretend that this exercise is performed to answer a question, which is, what shall I do? Me, manager of the landfill, what would I have to do in the moment when I have a leakage from the landfill? Okay, if something fails in the low permeability layer, which is under the landfill. So there are a few things that we need to be able to answer, like in how many direction is groundwater likely to flow? Is just always the same? Is it variable in time? Do we have multiple layers? Remember the discussion at the very beginning? Do we consider the river in connection with the same aquifer pumped from the well or not? Do we have two aquifers? We don't know yet. We didn't, let's say, gave any solution about this. We just have to, everybody of us needs to analyze the data and come up with a conclusion or with an hypothesis more than a conclusion. And do we know enough about the thickness of the aquifer? Do we know enough about the properties of the aquifer? Do we need extra pumping tests? Do we need extra monitoring? Do we nutrate? I don't know. Do we need tracer tests, whatever? Or that's enough to answer what we're asked to answer. Okay, this is, let's say, just a few questions to arise a little bit of thinking. Then, if some of these cannot be answered and it is important to the end of the project to be answered, we might write in a thoughtful way additional suggest site-specific field investigations. As you know, we go in the field every year, so we can do that. But as I said before, expected benefits of extra investigation or extra actions suggested needs to be clarified, needs to be well defined, and the efforts need to be balanced with a, we cannot over ask something which is, impossible compared to what we need to do. Okay, this is, apply to this example, but it's something valid anytime. Okay. All right. So I would like to now to ask each one of you if you could go through already what stage, let's say, of the school you reached up to now. For instance, I haven't started the model yet, or I have finished the model but could not calibrate. I have calibrated the model. I have the results. Okay, so just to have a kind of to have an idea of what has been happening. Okay, so I would ask you, maybe Roberto, if since we talked already, you can tell us what could you do? Because of course, I'm also very interested in having a feedback about if it is too much to do along the course, along the school, or if it is manageable. Roberto, you are even adding Italian courses, so maybe for you was not so much, was not enough. I will stop for a moment the recording.